broadcasting live from the Roanoke Valley of southwestern Virginia. Join us and see what life looks like from a medium's perspective with Reverend Tracey Lockwood, the medium's medium. We'll explore the tools of psychic development, hear stories and experiences from the other side, and learn to listen to our natural intuition. Now, our host, Reverend Tracey Lockwood.
Hello, beautiful lights, and welcome to another episode of From a Medium's Perspective. Before we get started today with today's absolutely amazing guest, I wanted to tell you that if you're interested in developing your abilities, I would love to work with you. I offer private tutoring, and I have several group options that are available by live webinar, interactive classrooms where you can study with other like-minded people in small groups. And so if you're interested in psychic development or channeling or spirit art or advanced mediumship, I have 4-week programs that are available. And if you're interested in developing to a level where your certification is awarded based on your performance at the end of a 12-week program, it's a very intensive professional psychic mediumship certification program. It's appropriate for pretty much all levels of practice, maybe not the very, very, very beginner, but we'll work you through the body basics and then the left brain tools and through the psychic tools and some mediumship tools and then letting go of the tools and into channeling all in 12 weeks. If you're interested, you can find information on my website at mediumtraceylockwood.com. Well, all of our guests are extraordinary in one way or another, but today's guest, I was very much drawn to the way that she uses her clairvoyance. She is a medium. I would call her an energy specialist because her ability to see detail in the auric field is exceptional. And she reads a little bit differently than some of the more traditional mediums out there. I just am really excited to introduce you to Lisa McCoy. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you, Tracey.
Sometimes our listeners like to spy on our guests while we talk. So your website is under reconstruction. So we're going to use your Facebook as a way that they can contact you. And Lisa McCoy can be reached on Facebook, facebook.com/I am the real McCoy. I love that. That's so perfect. And that's easy to remember. I am the real McCoy. Just go to Facebook, put that in. You will find Lisa McCoy, the real deal. So, Lisa, I guess the first thing that I want to ask you is, how did you end up becoming a professional medium? Like, what was your personal path to doing it for other people?
My personal path, actually, we're all born with our abilities. Some of us keep them, some of them go to sleep for a little while, and then some of them awaken a little bit later in life when there are some things that happen in people's lives that some will call traumatic events. That will happen in people's lives, which is actually what happened in my life. And what we need to remember is while we're asleep, we are all the time questioning ourselves, why is this happening to me? Why did this event happen to me? Or why did that marriage happen to me? And why did these people treat me this way? That type of stuff. But in actuality, what is happening is all of it is happening for us. So the traumatic event that led up to my awakening was a very abusive marriage. Actually, 2 abusive marriages.
I'm so sorry that you dealt with that.
But you know what, Tracey? now that I'm on the other side of that, I understand how all of it works, and
Yes.
I would not be here where I am today had it not been for those events in my life. My second husband was a narcissist, sociopath, pathological liar.
Oh, I had one of those.
Yeah. Interesting enough.
But you know what? We stayed. That's the thing. Like, we stayed, but I guess we learned. What did you know? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well,
I just
No, that's quite all right. I'm not really surprised, because empaths seem to attract narcissistic people.
Absolutely. If not sociopathic people. Absolutely. Yes. Opposites attract.
Yes. So we are attracting them for our lessons in life. So just that information there, Tracy, has a lot of aha moments with a lot of my clients. Like, oh my goodness, my life just makes total sense now.
Yes, absolutely. And to know, like, vibrationally, if an empathic person wants to heal and help and be of assistance, and a narcissistic or sociopathic person wants pity and to have somebody else do their work for them because they're, lazy about that aspect of relationships. What a perfect match, really.
Yes. And well, as we continue on our path and our growth, what it then becomes is learning our boundaries as an empath and a medium, that we have to accept that even though it's part of our DNA and our nature to want to help people recover and everyone be happy and joyous and have a beautiful life, we have to let go of the fact that there are some people that are not going to do the work.
Right. And they also have their own avenues of assistance that don't necessarily, we don't necessarily have to be that end all and be all person for them either.
Right. Right. So we have to learn where our boundaries lie. And I find that with the majority of my healer friends, that we all have a few boundary issues. Like we just want to fix everybody. We want everybody to be better, and we want everybody to be happy.
Well, we're working through that, right? So
yeah, I'm much better at it. Yeah. I'm way much better at it.
I'm sure. I know as a child, you had connection with spirit early on, as like you said. I think mediumship is also a fancy $2 word for sensing that there are people that have crossed over, and all of us can do that. Developing it's another thing. A developed medium is different than a spontaneous medium. But so you started out being very perceptive. What were the steps that took you forward to doing this now professionally?
It's kind of like the journey of awakening for many people, is that when all of these things, these traumatic events keep happening in our lives, it makes us become seekers. The seeker of, oh my goodness, there has to be something better than this. Seeker of more information or seeker of more help. And I began seeking information, and as I began to study, Tracy, I knew the answers to the stuff that was in these books that I was reading.
Right.
And it's
I understand that. I do. It's like we know it or something.
Yeah,
like, how did we know that, right? When did that happen for you? For me, I was a very late bloomer, even though I did it all my life in different circumstances, like a Pentecostal church and in my childhood with friends and all that. But I was 50 before I even thought medium. What about you?
I was in my middle 40s.
Nice.
And the thing about it is, especially with women and young girls, is that their spiritual abilities and their psychic abilities will many times become full-blown when they go through puberty, and also when they start going through menopause, because there's such a hormonal shift. And that's what was going on in my mid 40s, along with all of these other traumatic events that have happened. And I'm 57, and
Oh, me too.
I have been doing this professionally for about 5 years, although I've been doing readings for probably 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, lovely. When you did, I mean, obviously you naturally read for people, but when you did your first real sit down reading for somebody, what was that experience like for you, and what did you gain from that initial encounter?
Wow. I kind of eased into it, and
Me too.
as you understand, it evolves.
Yeah, you don't just hang a shingle and boom, you've got business. I wish.
Like, I was learning when I was teaching. So you're the teacher
Yes.
you're the teacher and the student at the same time. As I was reading and studying and, Googling everything, that I became a sponge actually in my mid 40s. This is how I explain this to my clients. We're always taught things throughout our life. We go to school, we're given a book, we're taught something, and we learn things. And when you start seeking this knowledge, Tracy, and I know you understand what I'm talking about when I say that it's not that we're learning something, we're remembering something.
Yes, I think of it as reawakening people rather than awakening
Right.
Yes.
Or teaching them something, because this remembering is something that in your bones. You can't explain it to somebody that has not experienced it.
Right. And like you alluded to earlier, our clients become our teachers. And what I mean by that, and I know you know what I mean by that, is until they ask the question, we don't know the answer.
Right.
But then when the answer comes, but when the answer comes out, it's like, well, that's kind of cool. And I'm constantly, like, I take notes for my clients. Sometimes I do draw, and we'll talk about that aspect later. Right. It's sometimes I just have to jot a note for myself because I'm like, whoa. Who would have thought that? Like, oh, that's so interesting, or I'll have to look into that, or that's the way it, it's so cool.
Yes, that's welcome to my life every day.
I know. I was sensing the same. I know the same about you. Yes, for sure.
That happens every day, and I even tell my clients, it's like, well, this has never happened before, but that's like, welcome to my life every day. I learn something every day.
Did the way that you do readings shift over the course of developing your professional mediumship?
Oh my goodness, they're shifting even today as we speak.
Yes.
They started out just as a knowing, and I was working with my guides. When I started studying, the first thing I started studying was the auric field, also known as the energy field. People use those intertwining both of this. It's the same thing, just some people call it the aura and some people call it the energy field.
Yeah, and that's AURA or AURIC for people that are trying to hear that word clearly. Auric field.
Auric field. And I refer to it as the energy field most of the time because I am referencing that as vibration.
Yes.
As with the law of attraction. So the first thing I started studying was the chakra system, and I knew when my chakras were balanced because all of a sudden I just knew things. Like I always knew things, Tracy. You know how you just know things?
Oh, yeah.
It's part of your intuition, is just knowing things. Most people don't trust their knowing. They second guess it, which is coming from the ego, which is the ego's job, by the way.
Right.
But I started knowing things, and then in the middle of the night, I was awakened by somebody calling my name. And it was so clear, I thought somebody was in the bedroom. So
Yes.
I sit up in the bed and looked around, and, you know, it was a dead sleep. And for those that are kind of new to this, like the sacred spiritual hours of the morning are generally between like 2:30 up until about 4 o'clock.
Yes.
So the times that I would be awakened for years was at 3:30 every morning.
Wow.
Every morning.
Download time. Yep.
Yeah, 3:30 every morning. So they're letting me sleep now. I don't get woke
Yes,
up.
I've asked them to try to rearrange that. They hit me up at 5 a.m. one morning this week. I was like, well, I think it's still better than 3.
Yeah, totally. So I laid back down and dismissed it, and I just got comfortable again, and they called my name again. And they said, you need to go down. I was meditating downstairs at the time. So they said to go downstairs, light a candle, and sit. We have a gift for you. And who was speaking to me was my higher self. And I could hear him just as clearly as I am listening to you.
Mm.
So I went down, and he said, we have a gift for you, and your gift is forgiveness. Now, you have to remember this has been like 10 years ago, and I was raised very Christian conservative.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So with that being said, you know that we were raised to believe not that we have a relationship with God, but it was fear-based.
Often presented that way, yes.
Yes. So forgiveness for me 10 years ago was like a huge thing for me to be given. So of course I cried, and at the time he also said, you have the power in your hands. And I didn't think anything about it, Tracy, because this was before I even knew what Reiki was or energy
yes.
medicine was. So I've always been very creative. At that time, 10 years ago, I was building furniture. I do carpentry work. I used to hang drywall. I do painting and custom painting and all that kind of good stuff. So I'm thinking, oh, that's cool. You know, power's in my hand, you know, like power tools, you know, dig it, you know, I get it. Without even knowing that's not what he was talking about.
Right, because we hear things the way that our left brain is working at the moment, and later if the truth comes. Yes, of course. Yes, that's so cute.
And because I'm like, oh, this is cool. Dig it, you know.
Power in my hands. Vroom. That's so funny.
I didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
But then as my study commenced over the next, I think it was over the next 3 or 4 months, I figured out, oh, that's not what he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, it's just progressed. I had teacher guides I would sit, Tracy, for hours upon hours and listen to them, and I would take notes, and they would have me practice this or practice that.
And you're speaking about spirit guides teaching, yes.
Yes, my higher self, and I had at that time about 3 other guides that considered themselves to be my teacher. They were just teaching me spiritual laws, spiritual principles, how life really worked.
Yes.
And it was actually unlearning everything that I had been taught.
How incredibly beautiful of your soul to have been open and curious and interested in hearing a different perspective too. Clearly it resonated with you.
That's the thing that is difficult to explain, for instance, to the rest of my family that is still very Christian conservative, Tracy.
Yeah.
That it is a feeling and a knowing that you just know. You just know. It's not like it's so different than being taught. And,
it's a word of knowledge, and then it goes on beyond that because you went to some great depth. That's a word of wisdom.
Yeah.
And then it went even beyond that, and it became discerning of spirits. And then it went beyond that with, channeling, which is tongues and interpretation.
Exactly. So it's not, it's the feeling that it's in your bones. It's true. It's truth. You can't deny it. And
yeah, you would feel like you were lying to yourself if you didn't follow that harmonic. And, we do know that because, our bodies even resonate to truth and beauty. We hear a perfect pitch voice, and often we get chill bumps, or we see an incredibly beautiful ballet and we're brought to tears. Because we're responding to perfection, not, like I think we're perfect and not perfect at the same time, and it's all perfect.
Right.
to be both,
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So you went from really sitting and listening to your master teachers and your higher self. And at what point did it shift to where you put it into practice? Because I know a lot of people, I just had a client this morning that's like, oh my God, and she's having like nearly out of body experiences that are like life after death experiences almost, and trying to balance the physical world and the etheric and astral and mental planes and other encounters. I mean, she's been talking to angels. So how did it shift for you from experience to what was the decision-making process or the path that you went through in creating a professional I don't want to say persona because that would sound fake, but I know my dad said pick your character. So presenting yourself to the world as someone who this type of information flows through. How did that happen for you?
I, as many people are, follow in many groups on Facebook and made Facebook friends that were kind of on the same path. I was in a chanting group for the longest time. Actually, I'm still in this very same chanting group.
Oh, chanting group.
I did chanting for a long time. And anyone that wants just to raise their vibration in their environment, if you can find some chanting music just to play real softly in the background, it is so soothing.
It helps your brain switch to that,
it does.
From the mundane left brain to the inspired right mind to just relax your brain. Yeah.
Absolutely. I have, and on the same thought, you might have to bring me back to what your question was, but on the same thought, I have my clients, Tracey, listen to drumming.
Yes. Oh, yes. Like shamanic drumming, that repetitive. Yes.
Because the reason that resonates so strongly and so deeply with us as a human is because that is the first sound that we heard in the womb. So, which it was our mother's heartbeat.
Oh, that's interesting.
That is why it calms our mind. It will calm the brain, like the monkey chatter, it calms that down. So when I am encouraging my clients to pick out something that resonates with you, because what resonates with me is not maybe going to resonate with someone else. So pick out something that resonates with you. And then as you're listening, repeat the question, what is it that I need to know today? What is it that I need to know today? What is it that I need to know today? So what happens is this magic happens because the monkey chatter has shut up in your brain, and all of a sudden you're seeing this beautiful video in your mind, which is exactly what it is that you need to know today. But I also want to remind everybody that it's all metaphoric. So just keep that in mind when you're seeing this slideshow or this video, that most of it is all metaphoric. That
like a dream, a symbolic,
like a dream,
yes.
Symbolic. And it could be that maybe you're seeing a beautiful little girl that's 3 or 4 years old dancing in a meadow. What the symbol for that is that you need to be reminded of your childlike qualities. You need to go back to being a free spirit.
Yeah, childlike, not childish.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. So that's what I have my clients do. And I love it when people are able to do that and see all this symbolism and all of these beautiful videos.
Yes.
In your mind's eye that you don't even know that exist within yourself. And that beautiful place exists within each one of us. So bring me back to what your question was.
I was just going to say, yeah, that's okay. No, this is all perfect. Everything is beautiful. So I was going to ask, like, what was the switch for you from having personal experiences to giving it in sessions?
Gotcha. Okay. So you'll remember the reason that I kind of became the seeker of this knowledge is because I was in a very abusive relationship, very abusive marriage.
Yes.
So what switched for me is that all of a sudden my whole life made sense. It's like, okay, this is why I knew things. This is why that happened. This is why I chose my parents, my siblings. This is why I didn't pay attention in school, because I was daydreaming all the time. I didn't need to know how to do math equations. I needed to know how to daydream because that's what people pay me for now.
Yes.
It's daydreaming. So I had to be really good at daydreaming.
Yes.
But I figured out that this was my way to get out of my marriage and have an income that would support myself and my youngest daughter, which still lives with me. She'll be 20 here in a couple weeks. And actually, Tracey, I didn't tell you that she's also clairvoyant.
I saw on your Facebook, and it sounds like you work in tandem sometimes too now, which is such a beautiful, affirming link for both of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. She's so powerful. She's so wise. I'll turn around at her many times and say, who was that talking? Was that you or like?
There's more than that there. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. What a beautiful channel. What a beautiful portal.
Where did that come from? Yeah, and then she'll say, oh, well, that was Tommy. And Tommy's one of her guides. When she was a teenager, like 12 or 13, Tommy appeared to her as like this really groovy rocker chick.
Ah, cool.
And had dreads and a tutu, fishnet hose, and stiletto.
Very provocative, not in a sexual sense, but in a get your attention and combat tradition. And very interesting. The inner rebel.
We figured out, Tracey, is that if a guy in a three-piece suit would have come to her as her guide when she was 12.
Oh, dear, no. Yeah.
Really, that she would have opened up and talked to him.
Yeah, yeah.
No.
Yes, they come as we need them, right?
Exactly.
So, so clearly, doing this work, you stepped from being victimized by choices and situations to empowering your viewpoint, to switching into sharing that with other people. Clearly that has shifted your perspective on life. Wax eloquent with us about how connection with the other world and being a medium has changed your perspective?
Oh, wow. It is truly, Tracy, the thing that everyone is searching for in their life, your soul's purpose. Like it's not like a job, like you go like 9 to 5 and
No, you can't. Yeah, definitely.
It's not like a job. This is like something that you know in your very bones and your blood that pumps through your veins, that you know this is the truth and you know this is your soul's purpose.
Yes.
It becomes, you couldn't not do it, is what it becomes.
Yeah.
It becomes like it's a non-choice.
Yeah, it's what you were born for and what you survived for.
Right. And the reason that I went through all of those traumatic events is to get me to the other side of here. The events were just something to get my attention, and they were done for me. Mm-hmm. So it has drastically changed my outlook on everything. I moved from being a seeker to moving through forgiveness. Mm-hmm. Is kind of the course that I take my clients through, is that you become a seeker, and how you heal is through forgiveness. We try to make it so complicated. Mm-hmm. And the forgiveness piece is not necessarily just saying the words, but forgiving it on a vibrational level, which is part of what my readings go into. It goes deep, deep, deep into vibrational levels of forgiveness.
Yeah, more like a release than it's not saying it's okay.
Right.
It's releasing it as reality.
Right.
Past. Yeah.
So what happens through the forgiveness process is that you become non-judgmental, because you understand why all of it showed up.
Yeah.
You know, even the bullshit part, you understand, okay, I get it, you know, that had to happen to get me over here. So you end up not having any judgment towards anybody, anything, any situation. You just don't have any judgment towards it. And what the Dalai Lama explains as unconditional love is the absence of judgment.
Yes. Yeah, which doesn't mean that you support or agree with an act of violence.
Yes.
It just means that it's looking deeper into why might someone have been brought to the point where they feel like they have to do an act of violence. And it is compassion, but it's not forgiveness in the like, oh, it's okay, he just needed to mass murder several people to feel better, you know, kind of thing. It's more just an understanding and what would you say, non-interference view. Like I would do everything to protect myself against somebody that tried to do something like that, and not hesitate to do it right back if it was necessary. But at the same time, it isn't a need to be judgmental. Yes?
No, there's no need to be judgmental, because you understand it. So
the big picture. The bigger
picture.
Yes.
So when we're bombarded by the media on, like, look what they did, the media is wanting you to see this little, like,
they want to focus on the act. 2
seconds that happen where I'm understanding, like, the whole big picture of all of it. Like,
I'm up to that point in that life.
Yeah. The whole matrix of it. So our whole life, in a nutshell, can be explained through that whole, what I run my clients through. You know, things happen in our life that make us become a seeker. Then when we seek things, we figure out forgiveness is the path, and then forgiveness moves us over here to non-judgment. From non-judgment, that gives us, like, freedom. Non-judgment is freedom, but also unconditional love. Then everyone's job, my job, your job, you know, anybody on the street's job, whatever that looks like, our job is to teach. Once we understand unconditional love, our job is to teach other people to do the very same thing.
Yes, yes. And that comes into compassion that goes far beyond compassion for a perpetrator, but for the victims of that act, the survivors of that act that, brought them to work at their deepest soul to move forward and not lose their light in the process.
Right, right. So I think that's, because we are created from unconditional love. God created us, and everybody that I speak to agrees. God created us from unconditional love. That's the only emotion that's there in God's presence.
Nothing but love. Yeah.
Nothing but love, unconditional love. So what our whole journey through life is to experience life, and while we're still here on the earth plane, to get back to unconditional love, and then to teach other people how to get back to unconditional love while we're still here on the earth plane.
Yeah. And in understanding from that higher perspective, the laws that govern each of the realms, the dimensions, the levels, however you want to think about that, there are different properties that are physical laws that are put in place in the material world, and different ones that govern the astral realm, and different ones that govern the mental realm, and the beings that inhabit each of those levels. And knowing that it's that this physical existence is such a important part of spirit's experience, but yet such a fractional part too. Yeah,
just like so minute. I mean, it's big, but it's still minute at the same time.
Exactly. So I want to have you talk a little bit about what initially drew me to ask you to come on the show, which was I saw some of your aura chakra sketches or drawings that you had posted, or someone had posted, maybe one that you had either done for them or something. I don't know. I saw one of them and I was like, ooh, yes, she is like ridiculously clairvoyant at seeing energy. And so I was like, her. So
I have seen some really weird stuff.
Yeah, I know when I started reading, I fell back on spirit art or drawing, sketching. I called them energetic sketches to try to explain to my clients what I was seeing, and used the symbols, and it all kind of came together in this sort of like a personal oracle card or tarot card or something that was specific to their life at that point. And I do that on request, but I do very few of them, none that I can think of in the last year and a half. And but your work is different than that, because you're actually looking at each of the chakras and the energy that's in the aura, and not only drawing it, but you're associating things. So tell us a little bit about how you construct an aura chakra chart reading. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. So the ones that I work with are the 7 main chakras. There are dozens of minor chakras, and then what a lot of people don't understand is that there is also a whole nother set of chakras that move in through our awakening. So that's like a whole nother subject.
Yeah. I had a vision one time too, where we're like in the orange chakra, and then we have these gross scale, like large scale, mighty scale chakras that are above this world of creation and stuff like that. But anyway, go ahead. I just got excited there. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. So I always start at, when a lot of people do their chakra readings, they will start at the bottom at the root chakra, but I start at the top really on purpose, because there's a reason behind why I start at the top. So I am seeing the energy field. First of all, I teach people how to feel the energy field. And then this is like their first session they have with me. I teach them how to feel the energy field, and without them even knowing, because I ask them questions and I tell them, Tracy, thinking is not required. Just answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
When I ask them the questions, they answer, and then they're shocked that they knew. And I said, because you know this stuff.
Yes.
You can get your mind out of the way. You can see it, you can feel it, and you can know it.
I love that you remind them that they have the ability to.
Absolutely.
I do the same, and
Absolutely.
or try to do the same. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I start at the top, and the energy field is anywhere from 3 to 4 foot all the way around us. So
Yes.
at the top, I'll see beautiful colors like yellow, gold, purple, indigo. All of those are beautiful, enlightened colors. I'm looking over a couple of them that I've got laying out here that I've been working on. There's doves that float above this one, above the crown chakra. So anything above the crown chakra is on a soul level. So
Yeah.
when I see doves, their soul is at peace with where they are on a human level.
Oh, nice.
So there are fairies in this particular one, angels, and actually little fairies are just like angel helpers. They're just like miniature angel helpers.
Yeah, I think of them as like holding the material fabric of the world together and activating our connection or something like that. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very playful.
They are, and they are like little angelics. Yes.
Yeah, they are. They come in all kinds of different colors, pink and blue, just whatever color that you need for that particular day. It's what color they show up in. This particular reading that I'm looking at has butterflies that float all over this energy field on this particular person. So it's no surprise to me that this person that I did this reading for is an entrepreneur, because people that have butterflies in their energy field are people that are free-spirited people. They would have a really hard time working on a 9-to-5 job that they were told what to do and when to do.
Yes.
So this person is an entrepreneur, and they have butterflies floating throughout their entire energy field.
How beautiful.
It is. It's beautiful. I kind of like with your drawings, I wish people could see what I see, because it is so breathtaking.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So
And there's no way to translate it. I mean, there are some spirit artists that have maybe come semi-close that you can kind of do, but it's just so multi-dimensional. It's like, it's just, you can just basically put down in shorthand what you're seeing. Yes.
Exactly. Because it's just not the colors that I'm seeing. I'm seeing the depth of the colors. There's some of these enlightened colors that are even highly, highly enlightened because they glisten. So it's just not the color that I'm reading the meaning about, but I'm telling them the depth of the meaning of that color.
And the clarity of the color and the intensity of the color. Yes.
Yes, it's quite fascinating. So let's move on down through this reading to get into some things that aren't so desirable. But part of my readings are, Tracy, that we are acknowledging what I'm seeing only for a moment, and then we're going to unload it.
Yes, that there's a reason that the glimpse was given, but it's only to begin the process. And I love that you start at the top, because that's a reminder to that person that they do have a higher aspect.
Yes.
And that's a very positive way to begin, because and it opens their energy so that they can be able to receive some of the more difficult things. Yes, I love that strategy.
Right. So as we're moving down through this particular reading, we move down to the throat chakra, which is the chakra of communication, whether we're communicating to ourselves or to others. So most of us have these beautiful radiating throat chakras that radiate like a sun because we are so encouraging to other people.
Mm-hmm.
But on the flip side of that, in their energy field, which is about 2 foot all the way around their throat area, I'm seeing exactly what they say to themselves because of the colors that show up there.
Ooh, the self-talk. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, I've had a couple of them that said, I don't feel like that I do that. And I would say, I'm just telling you the colors that are there.
You as readers, we have to give what we get, no more, no less. And also, if somebody's listening to the reading, they're listening with their analytical mind, part of the time at least. And usually if we argue with something like, no, I'm not like that, or no, it's really something we need to pay attention to.
Yes. So
I mean, that's different than not resonating because it just feels off. And I don't think you create that or I create that in a reading, but the information might be startling or unfamiliar or such a different perspective. Yeah.
That's actually a trigger. Anything that we trigger is something that's unhealed.
There you go. Trigger. I love that. Yes.
Yes. It just triggers them. So honestly, Tracey, by the time that I start working with a person, and I'm upfront with people. Sometimes I'm not sometimes. I'm in people's face. I'm straight up with people. I talk straight to them.
Direct is best. Kindly.
I don't
Yes.
pussyfoot around with them. And when you get to my website, one of the things, short and sweet, to explain to people what I do. I see people's shit, I call them out on their shit, and then we heal their shit.
Well,
so
that's bedrock bottom.
That's the short version of basically what I do. I see it, we call you out on it, we heal it, and move on.
Right. So, which makes it not a big deal that it's seen.
Right.
You don't have to be afraid of what someone might see because it's integral to us, for one thing, and then it's malleable. It's like credit. It's plastic, Yeah.
So by the time, if they're reading that and they saw some of my testimonies and they listened to some of the people I've worked with, they know before they get to me that I'm not going to sugarcoat anything.
Right.
So when I'm looking here at this particular reading, there is shackles, like rusty shackles, iron, like wrought iron shackles, like they used to have, like in the Dark Ages in the prisons, they would shackle people. So this is around this particular throat chakra, and what that tells me, if it's rusty, it has been there for decades. Sometimes these shackles have been there sometimes from conception. They have been there, but a lot of them have been there from 2, 3, 4 years old because we have been taught not to speak. We have been taught that our opinion does not matter.
Yeah, so, sit down, shut up, and look pretty.
Yep. And so this particular reading, when I'm seeing these shackles, that tells me that this particular person that I'm reading for has given their power of their speech over to something. On this particular one, it's to an abusive man. So sometimes, Tracey, this could be a place that they work, that they've given their power of their speech over to a place that they work. Because they have to say, like if you go work for a particular corporation, you have to take on that corporation's beliefs. Even though you may not believe them, you have to. So therefore, you're giving up your power of speech to that corporation.
Yes, conflicting with their own natural vibe. Yeah.
So that's when I see these shackles. Sometimes I'll see shackles on people's wrists and also their ankles. And that is because they're in some type of situation that they're stuck in. Sometimes it's a relationship. Sometimes it's a family. Sometimes it's their career that they are shackled to. also up here in the throat chakra area, there's what I call a belief box. And the belief box is things that we don't logically believe. But when I tell people, 1, 2, 3, 4, these are your core limiting beliefs, they're going to say, well, I don't believe those logically, but if we go back and observe their life over the last 2 or 3 decades, they sit there and think for a minute, and then they say, that's pretty much what that looks like.
Yeah.
I didn't really believe that I thought that, but that's pretty much what my life looks like. So therefore, and to give you an idea of some of these limiting beliefs, one that comes up a lot is that love must hurt.
Yeah, you have to suffer for love.
Yeah. So it's not that we logically believe that, but if we look over the last few decades of our life, it's like, but that's what that looks like.
Well, we're taught in our culture to serve people and sacrifice for them, and not, like you said, not speak up for yourself.
Not have an opinion.
Yeah.
Now, the thing with the belief box, Tracy, is that there's only 2 emotions. They're real emotions. There's love, which we're created from, and the only other real emotion is fear. So all other negative emotions are attachments to fear.
Yes.
So the foundation of this belief box is always fear. But then I could go into the depth and say, okay, your attachment to the fear is judgment. Judgment is a lot of them. Sometimes the attachment to the fear is worthiness. But each person is different.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be greed, over material, not fear of needing persons or material things that we can't let go of because we're afraid of what we would be without them.
Without them, yes. I see envy and greed in the lower part of the energy field, like from the waist down. Sometimes it will be an olive green color.
Yeah.
And actually,
oh my gosh, Lisa, we are at the end. I want to put out your information really fast here. Facebook.com, I am the real McCoy, and me, medium Tracey Lockwood. Everyone remember, it's never inappropriate to be kind, and without integrity, you have nothing.